How to Cure Fret Buzz, Episode 1. This video is really part 2 of the video I did recently called How to Set Up an Acoustic Guitar. I'll put the link to that video down below in the description. However, I've called this video How to Cure Fret Buzz, Episode 1, just so people can find it in the YouTube search. And it's Episode 1 because I tend to take two different approaches to repairing fret buzz on a new guitar and an old guitar. And as this is a continuation of the video How to Set Up Your Guitar, we'll obviously be working on a new guitar on this video. However, even if you've got an old guitar, it's worth watching this video because most aspects of repairing buzz are the same on old and new. It's just I'd like to do a separate video on a new guitar and on an old guitar, just to highlight the differences that might come up. Okay then, let's get on with it. And the first thing we need to do is actually locate where the buzzes are on the neck of the guitar. And we're going to do this by playing each fret individually and then marking the fret above where the buzz is. Right, the bottom E string was fine. The A string was fine. You can hear there we've got a very slight buzz on the 15th fret of the D string. And that's quite a nasty buzz on the 9th fret of the G string. And again, another nasty one on the 12th fret of the B string. And we've also got a buzz on the 12th fret of the top E string. You can mark the fret with a marker or a sticker or anything that'll come off easily. Or if you've only got a couple of buzzes, you can probably remember where they are without having to mark it. Today I'll be using a marker that came with one of those wipe off notice boards, so it literally wipes off. This has its advantages in that it's easy to get off the fret, but it's got its disadvantages in that it can be wiped off before you want it to be wiped off. You'll notice that I checked the frets around the fret with the buzz and the strings around the string with the buzz. And this is so I can isolate exactly where the problem is with the guitar, so I sort it out correctly. For example, on this guitar, 3 of the 6 strings on the 12th fret have a buzz, which means at least half of the length of the fret needs to be adjusted. There's a good reason why I mark the fret above the fret that's actually buzzing. And in this case, with a new guitar, it's going to be because that fret is more than likely high. So, for example, when you press down on the 12th fret, you're actually pressing the string against the 11th and the 12th fret, but this is a sure contact, and then you should have a reasonable gap between the string and the 13th fret. However, if the fret's buzzing, more than likely that 13th fret is a little too high, and that's what's causing the buzz. There is a very slight possibility that the 12th fret is low, but the chances of this on a new guitar are very low. This is more likely to happen on an old guitar where the frets can be worn, and we'll look at this in the future. The next thing we need to do is move the strings so we can gain access to the frets. Now, you can hold them back using a special tool or even a piece of string or something. However, I need to replace the strings on this guitar anyway, so that's what I'll be doing. So you don't get too bored, I'll speed up this next bit of the video where I remove the strings. Whilst I'm removing the strings, I'll just tell you about the new strings I'm trying. The strings I'm taking off the guitar are 10s, so I'll replace like with like. And the new make I'm trying are Adagio, and they claim to be anti-rust coated, which is what Elixir have. But these strings are less than half the price of Elixir's, so we'll have to see how they get on. But I'm not going to know this for at least a couple of months, maybe even up to 6 months. So if you're interested in knowing how these strings get on, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so, and then you'll be notified when I upload that video. If you've never had to change a broken string, or you don't know how to remove and replace the strings, I'll put a link down below in the description to another video I made just on that subject, so you can watch it. Because the pegs sometimes vary in size and are better going back into the hole they've come out of, I always stick them to a piece of sellotape. Sometimes I'll stick the piece of sellotape to the body of the guitar, but today, because I'll be moving the guitar around a lot, and also it'll take a little longer, I'm going to stick it onto a piece of paper, and then I won't leave any marks on the guitar. If you're going to stick them onto a piece of paper though, remember the piece of paper will get turned around relative to the guitar, so it's best to mark which is the bottom E string and which is the top E string, so you know how to put them back into the guitar again. Once we've removed all the strings, we've got clear access to all the frets, so we'll just lie the guitar down on the back and explain a special tool we'll use to diagnose what's going on with these frets. The tool we'll be using is a fret rocker, and as you can see, it's literally just a 4-sided piece of stainless steel, and what we've got is 4 dead straight sides, and this is important. The fret rocker is designed so it can make contact with 3 frets at any point on the neck of the guitar. So if you're testing frets near the nut, you use the longest length of side, and then as you move up the guitar you use a shorter and shorter length of sides until you get to the shortest length, and each side will allow you to just touch 3 frets, no more, no less. Now the idea of this is we use it like a seesaw. To demonstrate this then, we'll use the buzz we've got on the 12th fret, and I suspect the 13th fret is a little high or proud. So what we do is we put the fret rocker on the 13th fret so it can also touch the 12th fret and the 14th fret, and then we attempt to rock it backwards and forwards. And if it moves and rocks back and forward, then we know this fret is a little high, and hopefully you can see and hear this is what's happening. Now you can test the fret at various points and surrounding frets just to confirm this, and once you're sure, you then know you need to adjust this fret slightly. The first thing we need to try is tapping the fret with a fretting hammer, and a fretting hammer is just a lightweight hammer with either a plastic or rubber end or both. And if you don't have one, you could actually use a lightweight hammer and hold a rubber against the fret. It's just make sure you don't get any metal on metal contact, because you will ruin the fret. And what I'm doing is tapping along the full length of the fret to make sure it's seated properly. And in this case it's not made any difference, which means the fret was seated properly. However, we always want to do this before we start filing anything. So what we need to do now to bring this fret down to the correct height is file it down slightly, and I'll be using a crowning file, and the reason I'm using this is because it's shaped to the shape of the fret and it fits over the top of the fret and does very little or no damage at all to the fingerboard, so therefore it's designed for this job and it's the perfect tool. It's really important when you're filing frets, especially if you're new to it, to file a very short period and then recheck the fret and then repeat this. Short file, long check, because you don't want to file too far. So I file a little, Then I recheck the height of the fret, and we keep filing and then retesting over and over again until you're happy. And this is really important you do it this way, because if you file too long and you take the fret down too far, you're really going to have problems. You'll have to replace that fret then, and that's a far bigger job than the job we're doing now. When you're retesting the fret with the fret rocker, we want to check right the way along the fret as well, to make sure we're only filing where it needs to be filed. If the fret is the correct height in places, we don't want to take any metal off that, because we don't want the fret going too low. We just want to lower it where it needs to be lowered. And this fret is nearly there. Most of the fret is the perfect height. We've just got one little area that's a little bit proud, and we just need to get that down now and it'll be finished. Just a tiny amount of filing now and we should be done. I'd say that's pretty much perfect, but what I'm going to do is check along the complete length of the fret, and I'll check the frets above and the frets below to make sure I haven't taken too much off it. And that looks pretty much perfect to me. We should always clean the shavings off the neck to prevent it from damaging the neck. And if you've got a really proud fret that needs a lot of filing, you should do this often between the filings. And this is so that the burrs themselves aren't digging into the neck and damaging the fingerboard. Right, I'm going to deal with the 16th fret now. That just had a buzz on one string. As I did with the previous fret, before I start filing, I'll tap it with the fretting hammer and then see if it's made any difference. The fretting hammer has made a small difference, but it still needs a little bit filing off it in order to get it perfect. You'll notice I'm doing this fret exactly the same I did the previous fret, and that is I'm filing a little bit and then checking the complete length of the fret and then filing again and repeating this process to make sure I don't take too much metal off. It's worth pointing out as well at this stage that if you get it to the point where it's just rocking the tiniest amount, it's probably fine. And if you've managed to push the strings out of the way, you could tune the guitar up and test it. I mean, that's one of the advantages of not taking the strings off. But obviously, because I'm doing this as a YouTube video, I'm going to make sure the frets are absolutely level. And that way, I can put the string straight back on and it should work perfectly. I'm nearly there now with this fret, but I need to be careful with it because if you remember when I first did the test, it was only buzzing on one string. That means only a very small amount of the fret is standing proud. Hopefully this is nearly done now. I think it only needs a tiniest little bit taking off it now and it should be fine. Interestingly, on the final test I found the fret above was a little bit high, but I tapped it slightly and it fixed the issue straight away. Perfect. And I'm moving down now to sort out the buzz on the 9th fret, and of course the buzz on the 9th fret is caused by the 10th fret being proud, so this is the one I need to sort out. As usual, I'll tap the fret firstly with a fretting hammer just to see if it seats correctly. And I suspected that was the problem with this one because I could see a tiny gap underneath the fret, but it wasn't really the problem. It has really improved it, but I still need to do some filing to make it perfect. And it's still rocking slightly, so I need to file a little bit more off. When it gets to the point like this in a video, where the process is just repeating over and over again, I'm never sure what to do. Should I speed it up or should I leave it the correct speed? Leave a comment down below in the comment section, and then future videos can be tailored to what you guys want, and hopefully it'll make it more viewable. By this point you'll notice I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and that's file a little, check, file a little, check, and this is so important. Even if you've got a lot to come off the fret, file a little and check a lot. Otherwise you could ruin the guitar. And remember, you only need to do this once, so take your time over it, and then the guitar will last you for years. Right, I am going to speed this bit up because I think it'll become really boring, so I'll speed it up to the end of the process and then we'll put the strings back on and see how it is. And now we're reaching the point where it's done, and theoretically we've fixed the buzzes on the 12th frets, the 15th fret and the 9th fret. So far, in all the guitar repair and maintenance jobs I've uploaded to YouTube, I've tried to keep the tools as everyday as possible. Unfortunately, for this video there's a couple of very specialised tools, and unfortunately again there's no way around that, so you would have to get hold of those. The first one we've discussed was the fret rocker, but we've already been through this and how it works, and you can buy these cheap enough. You just need to do a search on your preferred shopping site, Amazon or eBay or whatever. The next tool we used was the fretting hammer, but you can always find ways around this by using a lightweight hammer and then putting something between the hammer and the frets so you don't get any metal on metal contact. However, again, you can get them easily enough off the internet, so you could do a search and see what the prices are like. But the tool I used the most on this particular job was the fret crowning file. And if you want to do this sort of job, you'll have to either borrow one or buy one. The fret crowning file is a file similar to any other, except The effective surface is in a concave on the thin edge of the file, and it's shaped to fit over a fret. Because of its shape, it won't slide off the side of the fret and damage your fingerboard. And another thing it does is it maintains the shape of the fret, so as you lower the fret, it stays the correct shape. Now, because of this, you can get them in various sizes. And if you're just starting out, it might be worth you getting a couple of different sizes so you can try them. But most of the time, I actually tend to use one that's too big, and then I work one side of the fret and then the other side of the fret. And with experience, you can actually shape any fret that way. But the easiest way, by far, is to have the correct size fret file for the frets you've got on your guitar. Most crowning files have two sides, and each side is a different size, and the one I'm using has that. But this one's so old, I can't remember where I bought it, so I can't give you a link to that, unfortunately. Right, let's put the strings back on, and then we can test all the frets and check we've got rid of all the buzzes. I'll speed up this process just to save you getting too bored. The final part of the job, once you put the strings back on, is to tune the guitar up. And because the strings are brand new, the strings will have to stretch slightly, and because they've been off the guitar for a while, the guitar has relaxed. So you'll probably have to tune the guitar at least twice, or maybe even 3 times, so it all settles down again. Once you've got the guitar in tune, you're ready to go, and the guitar should sound fine. In order to demonstrate that we've cured the fret buzz, what I'll do is play some of the clips from before the fret job was done, and then I'll play some new clips after the fret job was done. And this will obviously be of the 9th fret, the 12th frets and the 15th fret, which were the frets that were buzzing before we started the job. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please like and subscribe, and then you'll be notified when I upload new videos. There's lots of new guitar lessons, guitar repair jobs and all sorts to come in the future. So thank you for watching.